welcome to Scrappin with Sheri and Project Recipe 6 in our book. This is on page 16 in your book, and I want us to look at what papers it calls for first, and then we'll decide what we're actually going to do. It calls for 3 different designer papers on this, and if you look at the sketch, there's a designer paper here. That's the greens, the lighter greens on both sides. There's a designer paper here, which makes your outside border, and the reverse of it actually made these vine borders here. And then the last designer paper is the mats for the photos. So you know I'm automatically nixing this designer paper for now. So let's see what parts we're actually going to do and what we're working with. Now it says to use 2 sheets of cardstock for the base. They use dark green, and that's what this inner part is, and then everything else is just put down on that dark green cardstock. So I am actually using a green cardstock, strangely enough, and everything else I'm using today is greens because I'm going to be doing some pictures from a Sloth birthday party. Now, I don't know how many of you can say you've ever been to a Sloth birthday party, but green seems to be the color. This is a leftover from a Christmas pack, and I know it's not 12 inches, but I'm going to be using it to do the dark green border here. I do know that part. This I'm going to be using where they've got the lighter green here, and then I'm going to do this stripe on my outside edge. So when I look at those pieces, E is the stripe on the outside edge. So let's look at what we need there. We need E and F. That's a punch border, which is actually the flip side here, but I'm not going to be doing that because I'm doing that out of something else. So let's go ahead and cut our smaller borders. Our designer paper that's cut 6 by 12 is this one. So let's make our cuts, lay it down, and see where we are. Now, you know I hesitate always to say, oh, this one's going to be quick and easy, but it does look pretty quick and pretty easy. So because I'm not doing my punch borders out of this, I can skip those 2 steps, and then I'm going to be doing a 1.5 by 12, and those will be those outside border edges. Now, I did turn my stripe sideways because I like to see a lot of the cross section of the stripe. And if you're using something that's directional, you'll have to keep that in mind because your borders are going up and down. And I think we're done with that paper. Strangely enough, that's actually a fall paper on the back. It's from an old fall collection that's several years old. But I love that green stripe. And then our designer paper 1 is just 2 6 by 12 pieces. So I'm going to move this to the 6-inch mark and just cut those 2. And let's go ahead and do our borders. So that part will be out of the way. And we just need 2 punched borders, and they're going to cover our seam there. That's why I went ahead and chose this darker green, because it will be between these 2. It's going to go right between those. And I chose this old garden vine punch. It's a border punch. This one is one of the few that doesn't have the black lines on the front. Creative Memories initially did not put the black lines on the front. Actually, I'm looking at it. I see black lines, but they're down in here. They're not up here, which made it a lot harder to line it up. And we begged them for the black lines on the front, and they changed it. So this is a very old punch. And I'm going to line this up in there. I mean, it is a vine, so if it's not exact, it's probably not going to make a great lot of difference. And we just need to cover up the blue as we slide. Now, I don't know if you noticed this in the videos or not, but my daughter and I were talking about the fact that these recipes are taking us a lot longer than the sketches did. And a lot of that is because most all of the recipes have some type of border. Anytime you pull out extra tools, it's going to take you longer. If you use just your straight trimmer, your little photo trimmer, it's going to be a lot quicker. But you can see as I'm punching this, the borders just take up a few minutes, and the more borders you have, the longer it's going to take. I do not do every page of my albums using lots of tools. In fact, I tend to lean more towards less tools. But I was telling somebody at my in-person crop last weekend, occasionally I just like to do a really pretty fancy page just to kind of mingle in. But my goal is showing off my pictures and getting my pages completed. So my overall goal is to keep these pictures as close to up to date as possible. Now, oop, something's sticking. I am not up to date currently because I have not done my Christmas album. But if you were watching before Christmas, you know I did a lot of Christmas pages. So once I get those pictures out and start working on them, I think the Christmas album will go really quickly. I'm hoping we're going to have some flip throughs coming up pretty soon. All right. And I haven't worked on my travel album much lately. I always get real inspired when we plan our next trip, and we haven't planned our next trip yet, so I haven't been overly inspired. Now, if you were noticing, I punched 3 of those borders, and that's just because I knew my paper was not full length, and I'm going to have to do a little paper piecing there. All right, so we're going to put these 2 here. These 2 are going to be mirrored exactly on the opposite side, and we're just going to slap these down. So this border, I'm going all the way to the outside edge. And it's pretty easy to do that because you can just use your fingers to kind of line it up along the outside edge. And then this paper, the 6-inch paper, I'm just going to line up right against that. We're going to butt those 2 together. Add a border over the seam. Go ahead and stick these 2, and then we will pull our silicone mat and our repo tape out. I've mentioned to you more than once, if you'll keep using the same tools as often as you can, the more you switch back and forth between your tools, the more time it's going to take you. So to make efficient use of your time, if you'll keep using the same tool while you can. That's why we try to make all of our cuts first using our 12-inch trimmer, and then go to something else after the fact. And I don't know if you can see or not, but my green paper is just a little bit bigger than my other papers. I don't think that's going to cause an issue, and I'm just going to leave it for now. When I start to stick these on the pages in my album, I may have to trim it down just a hair, and that's because of that standard variation where you can have just a little bit of difference in the sizes of papers and it still be called a 12 by 12. So let's put some repo tape on this. Now I'm going to tell you, this may not have been my best choice for a border here because it's not actually going to cover up that seam. It's going to kind of go back and forth and back and forth, cover parts of it, not cover all of it. But I think I'm going to be all right with that. And then we're going to need to match it just a little here. Yeah, I'm trying to find where the match actually occurs. Oh, it's right there. Well, that's convenient. So I'm just going to tear off a little piece of that. And just match up my leaf edges here and keep going up with that border. Because this is a pretty busy border, I don't think you're going to be able to see where the matches occur very much. But I kind of do have another thought in the back of my head that we may play with. I always start with a general plan of where the page is headed, but it's going to sound really funny to say this, but sometimes the pages just speak to me. As I'm working on them, I see something else, or I think of something else that I've got in my tool arsenal, or a sticker that I had that would work with something. So sometimes it just occurs to me to add something else as I'm going. I don't always change plans midstream, but you've seen me enough to know that I do it pretty frequently. Got a little leaf popping up right there. All right, let's do our other side, and the borders will be done. I'm going to start with, well, it doesn't matter which one I start with because at the top it kind of glitched a little bit. So I'm just going to cut off that top because, you know, we're going to piece it anyway. And this one will end up a very similar to the way the other one did on the opposite side with the big leaves down on the bottom. It's going to go back and forth across the seam, not really covering it. But, you know, for a sloth birthday party, that might be a good option. It'll make it look a little more jungly than being straight up the side. Creative Memories has put out so many punches that even if you can't find the one that they list on the idea sheet, it's okay because there's going to be something comparable, something that'll work just as well or maybe even better for what your pictures look like. So don't stress not being able to use the exact same. Use the things you got, make them work for you. Yeah, I think that's really pretty. All right, so clearing off my workspace again. So let's look at photo placement. On our sketch, our project recipe, there's a 4x4, a tall, a side, and then a smaller. And they've actually used these smaller ones for embellishments. Well, I had enough photos. I didn't really need that space for embellishments. So let me spread my photos out and show you what I ended up with. So we've got a 4x4-ish there. That's the sloth. I took the little invitation for his birthday party off the internet. I kind of copied that, stole it, whatever. You can see that I matted my pictures in white again. So I didn't really need other photo mats. So there's what I've got on that side. Very true to the recipe as far as my photo placement. And I'm going to do basically the same thing over here. My granddaughter was very interested in the fact that he was eating his salad. This one is not quite as tall. And then one of us with all the balloons and stuff for Happy Birthday, Sammy. This is a picture of a sticker that my granddaughter had. They gave her a little sticker. I have misplaced the sticker, and I'm sure at some point in time, way down the road, I'll probably find it. But I didn't have it to actually do the page today, so we're leaving the sticker off. I'm going to slide this one down a little bit and make it more complementary with this one across. And that gives me a good journaling space right here. So I'm going to go ahead and stick these pictures down. And then we will decide what we need in the way of other embellishments. I do know I need a journaling box. Now, this is a little place. It's really cute. It's called the Chill Sloth, and it's an ice cream shop. You can tell we have on our big coats because it was really cold when we went there. But their sloth was turning 5. So they had him a little birthday party. And if you came in, you could see him. I mean, he's in there all the time, but you could see him. You could get a cupcake. And you could buy their ice cream, which is what they were really hoping for. But they had the little birthday balloons, a little photo op for you. You know, for this scrapbooker, that was right up my alley. I was really excited to get to go to this. And, of course, the ice cream was delicious. And I think, it seems like I actually printed a picture of that big ice cream thing up close. I'll have to see if I can locate that. For some reason, I thought I wasn't going to have room for it, but I think I do. And this, I'm going to go up. I just think it looks nicer when the lines of your photos, top and bottom, are similar. They don't have to be exact, but similar. And this one, I think I'm going to slide all the way up here and kind of take up the difference between the top one and the bottom one. And I do have my little sticker, but I'm not sure where that's going to go just yet, so I'm going to hang on to that. but I'm liking this. Now, the one thing that I do think I want to add are some little gold accents, because they had all those pretty gold balloons. I think some gold will also draw in the color of the sloth a little bit, and I think those would be really cute here. So let's pull our balloon punch. So here's the little picture. It's kind of a close-up of that. It's not real big, but it would be a good one to group right there. And then I could add the little sticker with it to kind of help that look a little more balanced on that side. So I'm going to stick those down. And I pulled a journaling box. This box is, it was filed in my green collection, in my green papers, because I go ahead and file my journaling boxes in the color that they most closely represent, if there's a color to them. Now, I don't need a very big one here. I love the journaling boxes that have a few little lines on them. Now, these lines are not even, so I'll have to write in between some of the lines on this. But it has kind of a greenish tint, and I like that. It's going to match all this green we got going on this page. So I've got my journaling box there. And that was just cut down from a much larger journaling box. And then I pulled my balloon punch. This one's called the double balloon. It has 2 different sizes. And this is gold shimmer paper. Occasionally I pull a punch down I haven't used in a long time, and it just doesn't feel quite right. It probably needs a little oil on it. And I'm going to punch several of these. And I felt like these would be pretty kind of sprinkled in with our leaves here and there. I'm going to do some smallers and some largers. Make the little shadow look go to different sides of it. I just think that adds a little something to the layout. One more punch of those, I think. Here again, this is a pretty old punch. I've been trying to pull out some of the older ones and use them just because I kind of forget about them, don't use them very often, and they're still great. They're perfect punches. I just tend to forget them. I'm going to stick. I'll hang on to that balloon. I may stick it on a journal box somewhere. And I am going to use foam squares on these balloons just to give us some dimension. I've got one large one. It's a little too large, but I'm going to cut it in half and go ahead and use it just so I can finish up this paper. I don't know how many of you got in on the adhesive buffet that Creative Memories did in early January, but they offered some thinner foam squares that actually got a little delayed in shipping, so they're taking a little longer to get to people. But I did not order any of those. I'm thinking I should, because my albums are starting to get pretty fat because I do use so many foam squares. And I think the thinner ones might be a really good option for me in an effort to keep my albums from getting quite so large. There were also the circular foam squares. I did order some of those, and in fact, I think they're in my closet. Haven't pulled them out yet because I'm just such a creature of habit. I went right back to the squares. I'm not sure what difference it would make to do circular ones as opposed to square ones, unless the design you're trying to put them on is really small and very specifically shaped. In which case, the circular ones might be a lot better. I don't know. I also haven't checked to see if they're the thinner or the thicker. So there are some things I need to do some homework on. Oh, I think these are really cute added in here. And that came to me just because of this picture right here. So we've got our balloons added in. I feel like we need a little something else. So let me check on one more thing for you. I remembered that I had some ice cream things from one of the exclusive packs you could get if you ordered a certain amount. And I found this that says Stay Chill. Since the place is called Chill Sloth, I think that's perfect. And we're going to foam square that right up here at the top. And then it had a sticker, everything is better with sprinkles. I thought that was cute. I love the Celebrate, but that's not really going to work because of the colors in it. I am going to use my anti-stick powder on this because that's a big old sticker. Everything is better with sprinkles. And I think that could work right up here with the picture of our ice cream that has the sprinkles all over it. I think that little sticker is a little crooked. Sometimes it's hard when your color scheme is so specific. It's hard to add in other colors. And in fact, you know, my granddaughter was even dressed to match it. So it makes it a little harder to add in more colors. But I think I'm good on this. I don't think it necessarily has to have more things. If I had more leaves, I might add those here and here. But overall, I'm pleased with the look of this page. I will do my journaling, and then these 2 pages will be completed. So this is project recipe number 6 on page 16 in your idea book. I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you'll try making some of these fun pages. This one was a really quick one overall. And until I see you next time, happy scrapping.